The ride over was nothing but smooth. Even the city traffic felt lighter. The world knew you were busy people with places to be and had moved out of the way. Nice. Derek avoided any dead air during the short trip. He chatted boyishly about the organization putting on the social. His dad had attended one of their occasions last year, and from the bits and pieces Derek learned, they sounded like a professional group. By the time he'd finished dishing, he was pulling into the parking lot. The venue was a classy seafood restaurant right on the beach. In a way, it reminded you of Derek's condo, modern with pale shades and massive windows that went around half the building. Despite living in that area nearly your entire life, you'd never eaten there. Your family had your favorites and habits. This would be a new experience for you and for Derek. Nice. He hadn't attempted to start a new conversation. There was silence, and the sparkle in Derek's eyes revealed his inner pride. He was there as a true stand-in for his dad. They were equals in that way. Being there as he arrived was a moment you were grateful for. It was a brief drive, but with a long road behind it to get there. Derek briskly approached the door. His jaw was tightly set, his hands opened and closed slowly. Fittingly, he could be described as meaning business. You simply couldn't help yourself. It was in your nature, a part of your very being, to not let Derek always get the door for everyone else. Derek's focus was too narrow. His eyes were straight ahead. He didn't notice whatsoever when you snaked ahead and grabbed the polished bronze handle from the side. You, somewhat awkwardly from your position, moved the door forward and opened it wide. He stopped in place, staring at the entrance as if it had appeared by magic. Only one more thing was needed to complete your stunt. You said two familiar words. After you. It took another second for the satisfying shock to fade enough for Derek to form a response.
Thank you, Molly. How considerate.
You pretended not to notice the teasing sarcasm in his voice and the angle of his brows, too. You merely smiled innocently as he passed. Then you followed right after with a skip, letting the door swing closed behind the both of you. Ooh! What a lovely place. This is beautiful. Actually, the way the tables are set up and stuff remind me of the room I had my wedding dinner in. It didn't look out over water, but just the layout and the decor of the tables and stuff reminds me a lot of that. The restaurant had an arrangement of square tables, each with a silky smooth tablecloth and a bouquet of flowers. You could tell they were real even from a distance. Ahead of the seating, a makeshift stand was set up. It had only a plain podium with a microphone, though not much else would be required for its purpose. There was a high arched ceiling with visible wooden support beams ribbing the framework. The whole dining area had been reserved for the luncheon. A sign had been posted up front, and there were name cards on each of the tables. And every spot had water already set out for the anticipated attendees. Other guests had arrived before and had already taken their spots. That answered the question of what you should do now that you were there. Figure out where you were meant to be. Derek stuck close by as you weaved through the tables, glancing at every name tag you passed. Ultimately, you found the intended seats for the intended guests. At one of the center tables were two cards, one with the Mr. Suarez printed across, and the other right next to it with the name Mr. Holden. It's kind of sad they keep inviting Cliff when he never comes. Mr. Holden couldn't be more wrong if they try. If they're expecting Mr. Holden, they're gonna be really surprised when they see me.
Yeah.
Derek unconsciously ruffled his spiky hair, mussing it up despite the fact that you were certain he'd specially brushed it out before you left.
They didn't get the memo. Even working professionals have organizational mishaps.
He opened his eyes and smiled. Saying it out loud had made him realize his own point.
Forget it.
Honestly, that's reassuring.
Derek gripped each of the shiny designated seat tops. He tugged both out from underneath the table, then he patted the one with the Mr. Holden card before it.
It's all yours, Molly. You're gonna do the real Mr. Holden proud.
Why, thank you. You accepted your position with grace and poise. That doesn't sound like me at all. The place next to you was filled right away. Derek propped his chin up on top in the hand he'd rested against the table.
Man.
Hey,
He leaned in closer, amusement plain on his face.
if things don't work out with this party, we can make a break for the door. That's always worked out before.
True. You had to slap a hand over your mouth. The snort you let out wasn't business meeting levels of appreciated volume. That sounds like me. Of course, not even a networking event could be dry with Derek around. He made everything fun. Will it have dancing? There's no way this event is going to compare with the Cypress soirees. At least we were kind of invited to this event. It's better than crashing. I felt more at ease in that party we crashed than here. Yeah, I like this one. At least we were kind of invited to this event. It's better than crashing.
That's the spirit.
Derek behaved as if this was a normal meal between lovers. He was totally at ease. Nice. He placed a hand over yours. Aww. It was a sweet gesture, despite his smile looking quite wry.
Phew.
Man, I'm glad you're here. Being responsible still gets to be a good time. And I'm gonna have to say thank you for doing this again. Some networking event is now a date with my amazing girlfriend. You find someone who can make that happen once in a lifetime.
Derek winked, beaming bright. Only for you, Derek. Only for you. I love stuffy work events. I'm glad I'm here too. Derek's gaze lingered on you affectionately until you could no longer pretend as if you were alone there. The guests were arriving, and Derek sat back in his seat like a proper student. More attendees joined you around the table. Both at your spot and throughout the rest of the space, the age range of the invited business owners was wide. Some looked to be triple in years to you, and some seemed even as if they were barely out of high school and everything in between. It made for an interesting crowd. Conversation didn't even have a chance to begin before a primly dressed server approached. White polo shirt, black pants, and a stack of single-page menus in hand. There was no need for them to explain why they were there, but they did it anyway.
Hello, I'm Gus and I'll be your waiter. I've got our options from the event here for you.
The simple, plain paper lists were passed around the table. They were printed just for the occasion. Rather than a full restaurant scale of options, it had been pared down to the basics. Considering it was paid for by the event, you couldn't complain.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Gus watched over you with their now empty hand demurely resting in front of themselves. The selection was simple enough that they didn't offer to come back after you'd had time to read over the menu. It was likely for the best that every order was put in at the same time. Makes sense. Not wanting to keep the server waiting, you made your preference known. Chicken, steak, salmon, or garden salad? Chicken's always a safe choice. Derek followed you up with a request for chicken. Hey! The rest of your group all got steaks. If they were getting a free meal, they intended to make the most of it. I mean, good for them. I would rather have chicken than steak. Gus jotted down the requests, cleared away the menus, and left with a thank you. The expectation of food stirred up an initial conversation, but the tepid early chatter faded back into nothing under the puffing sound of a mic being tapped. Every face turned to the front. A speaker stood tall behind the small podium that served as the grandstand of the event. The commencement of the luncheon was announced with great aplomb, and you were all welcomed with a warmth that felt personal, even though it was given to an entire room of people. The opening talk discussed their organization, showed appreciation for their sponsors, and praised the restaurant for the provided meals. A fair amount was squeezed into a short period of time. It had to be said, but they didn't have to draw it out. As quick as possible, the speech was ending.
The floor is open. We invite you to socialize. We're all here for the same reason. See if you can hand out your card to 5 fellow guests before the event is over.
I see how it is.
At least 5, huh?
Your eyes were studiously glued to the event runner. However, it was obvious Derek began to smirk. You could hear it in his voice. And even if he hadn't said anything, you would have known. That was a competition, whether the speaker intended for it to be or not, and of course Derek would be game for it. You surreptitiously ran your fingers down his side under the table. Huh. I'll teasingly pinch his thigh. Your own mischievous side had been brought to the surface by the situation. That was the most opportune time for a brief personal moment since everyone was distracted. You slipped your hand under the tablecloth slowly, inching closer and closer to your oblivious seat neighbor. When he was in range, you pressed your fingertips into his leg muscle and gave it a squeeze. His teeth clenched, suppressing a gasp. You can never take me anywhere. Derek managed to smooth out his expression, though couldn't suppress the redness on his cheeks and played things cool. You took your hand back before anyone could notice what happened, smiling, satisfied. It wasn't a very professional stunt, but oh well, Derek was happy. And so was I. Completely unaware of the antics going on under the table, the speaker stepped down. From there, mingling began. One of the older grain individuals at your table broke the ice. You described them as grizzled yet refined. Time had chiseled their features rather than worn them down. This couldn't have been their first event of this type.
Well, we ought to introduce ourselves to the people here before going out to the masses.
Agreeing nods and murmurs followed. Starting with Jamil, the man who suggested the idea, the group went clockwise around, taking turns giving their name and a few details on their businesses. Jamil owned a photography studio. There was someone who did web design with a fully online business, and another who brewed their own beer. When Derek's time came, he stood as if he'd been called to the front of the class. No one else got out of their chair to give their introductions, but he wasn't one to do anything half-heartedly.
Hello.
My name is Derek Suarez. I don't own a business, at least not yet, but I am here as a stand-in for a small self-made company. It's nice to meet you.
Before the spotlight could pass from him, Derek reached into his pocket to retrieve the stack of business cards for his father's company.
Here you go. I've got enough of these for everyone. Gotta do what the speaker said, right?
Derek used the extra height he had while on his feet to reach across the table and make certain each person received a card from him. He even let you have one. Thanks. Some shook their heads and laughed while accepting Derek's offering. A couple traded Derek a card in return for his. With a base goal of 5, he was off to a great start. Derek confidently lowered himself into his chair once more, then gestured to you. Hey everyone, I'm Molly Waverider. I'm just here for Derek. I came for the free food. I too am a representative of that business Derek mentioned. Understanding smiles were pointed in your direction. You thought you made a good first impression. Only one more person needed to go after you to complete the lightning round of self-introductions. With that, the group could pursue their own goals. The beer person struck up a conversation with the designer about their own site, and how it didn't exist. She only had an Instagram at the moment. Jamil was familiar with many people in attendance and went to make his own rounds. Derek shifted closer to you, a grin across his eager face.
Let's get to it.
Let's give out some more cards.
He invited you to pass out business details with as much enthusiasm as he would have asked you to play an actual video game. Apparently, that sounded equally as fun to him. That was fine in your mind. The two of you excused yourselves from the assigned seats.
Hey, about what happened during that talk.
Yeah?
You can do it again sometime if you wanna.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I love that you had to bring it up right now. Maybe on the drive home, honey. After making certain his approving opinion was known, Derek surveyed the room for new card receiving targets. Derek set his sights on a small collection of people gathered a few tables away. He pointed subtly with his finger to wordlessly signal his intention. You gazed back at him unwaveringly. Together you approached the fellow attendees. Derek announced himself with a polite wave.
Hey!
3 mature faces turned towards him. All were dressed on the business end of business casual, having elected to wear dress shirts and pants with unbuttoned blazers.
What are we talking about over here?
We're catching up on what's happened in the interim since our last gathering. I don't recollect seeing you there. Who might you be?
Are you here together? New business partners?
The questions were posed genially, and there was nothing unique about them. They were quandaries you'd heard before and could easily imagine hearing numerous more times before the event's end. But the way they asked, the more casual the circumstances were than the round table greeting from only minutes before, had stirred a change in Derek. His eyes went wide, his made-up card-based competition was forgotten, being a proper representative for his father was forgotten. The situation had become nothing other than an opportunity to introduce not just himself, or you, but the two of you together. The only people he'd been able to tout his new relationship to thus far had been your own families. A wide grin played out over his face. This networking event had afforded him a real opportunity. It wasn't one he'd missed.
No, we're not business partners, but we're partners in a different way.
Tilting his chin high, putting a hand on your shoulder, and pausing for effect, Derek clearly stated your situation.
We're a couple.
He was positively beaming. Derek wouldn't have been prouder to declare he was in fact a business owner in his own right. Derek's boldness reminded you anew of just how charming he was. Yep, we're dating. My name is Molly. Hearing you speak your own name got through Derek's dreamy romantic haze. There was still a job to do. He jumped off of Cloud 9 to join the rest of the party on planet Earth and properly answered the original question.
Oh, yeah.
And my name's Derek. My dad owns the business. We're here as representatives for it. You might know him, Mr. Gregorio Suarez, or his business partner, Mr. Cliff Holden.
Oh!
Exclamations of understanding came from the entire bunch all at once. That made complete sense. Each took turns chattering about how they personally knew Derek's father and how they had heard tales of the enigmatic Mr. Holden. Every one of them noted amazement on Mr. Suarez's eldest son. Gregorio had mentioned Derek on numerous occasions, and there he was in the flesh. Nice. Gregorio, so sweet. Derek patiently listened and participated in light conversation, the picture of civility. The other guests had no clue that he was waiting for the right moment to strike. But as soon as it could be brought up, Derek offered the little crowd his card. They accepted it without hesitation. Another successful round for Mr. Derek Suarez. He continued to network for a little longer until more than enough info had been given and received. Then you separated from that group with a friendly farewell. Smiling surreptitiously, Derek whispered into your ear excitedly.
All right.
This is going good. That's already more than 5. We're awesome.
It sure is. Let's do it together. You tag-teamed conversation after conversation. Together you managed to keep things flowing and provide setups for the other to nonchalantly bring up the cards or leave the exchange. You could practically see all the points you were racking up on a fictional scoreboard. Eventually, another person took the stand. It wasn't the event speaker, it was a server at the restaurant, likely the head waiter. They requested all guests take their seats as the meal was ready to be served. The crowd murmured with interest as they filtered back into their designated seats, you and Derek included. No sooner than every butt hitting a chair did the server stream out from the back. Your and Derek's matching dinners were placed on the table. The meat was well seasoned, with flecks of black pepper and green parsley over the whole breast. There was a side of mashed potatoes, with the same set of herbs and spices, and a neat pile of roasted zucchini and squash. Oh, that sounds so good. All talk of business was off the table while eating. The elder of your bunch declared that was truly tasteless. It was a pleasant meal and a well-earned break. As people began to finish their dishes, the table emptied out once more. Some wanted to chase down people who were placed at other spots before it was too late. Others were bold enough to leave the event early. Eventually, only you and Derek were left seated. He was leaning against his chair back, watching the activity of the room without participating. There was contentment in his features. He didn't need to push even harder, to use every possible second to make progress. Derek made a good effort, and that was enough. He'd rather talk to you. Aww.
Well.
So,
He got comfortable for the wait, resting his chin on his fist and looking across the table at you with a cheeky grin.
how did I do on our first super official date? You don't have to hold back. I can take constructive feedback.
You didn't pretend it was for practice, so I'd say you did great. It was a lovely day, Derek.
Aww.
That's awesome.
Your and everyone else's conversation was brought to a pause by the return of the event speaker to the stage. You blinked in confusion as their voice projected through the air. For a minute, you'd forgotten there was a speaker and that you were in a fancy restaurant for a business event. It had been just you and Derek hanging out as you usually did. And that turned out to not be far from the truth. The event runner announced the closing of the luncheon. They briefly mentioned future opportunities, but once again wrapped up their talk in a matter of minutes.
Thank you all for your attendance. We know how valuable your time is. Please have a wonderful, productive day.
It was on that note the business luncheon came to its end. The former speaker stepped down and the guests leisurely prepared to leave. The ones who'd been itching to go were already out. Those left were content to linger. Neither you or Derek rushed. You were part of the camp who'd fully committed to attending the event. Proper goodbyes were given to the entrepreneurs you'd met that day. You made sure you had all of your possessions, and only then did you leave the restaurant and get into the car. Derek tugged at his loosely buttoned collar. It wasn't a tight fit in reality, but what the shirt represented still pulled around his neck. He clearly had plenty of energy to muster. Derek beat his hands against the car's console like a drum roll.
Yeah.
Success! We did justice and fulfilled our important adult favor.
Through narrowed eyes, he spoke the second victory of the occasion, one he had decided on all by himself.
There's no way someone else gave out more cards than us.
For sure. We're pros at the networking game. You giggled, and so did he, while also letting his gaze drift out through the window. He stared at the sky.
That took a decent chunk of the day. And it's not totally done. Since we did it, I'm going out to talk to my dad about it. He knows those people and will want updates, and some were new and he could use a heads up.
You know it.
I can pass on the few cards we did get. Want me to drop you off at home or some other place, or are you coming with?
Coming with, please. It'll be nice, and I might have my own points to bring up about the event. Good, I'm glad that wasn't a choice. I'm like, I want to go! His cheeks and eyes lifted, pleased. You were more grateful than ever to be there, at the venue of a business luncheon, in the state you grew up in, and at the side of your boyfriend.
I thought you might say that.
Leave it to me.
We'll stop at the apartment to change, and then we can head out again.
Great. Love that. Love that we can change into something more comfy. Derek put the car in reverse, and you were off. Imagining Mr. Suarez waiting expectantly for your report spurred the both of you on. It wouldn't be responsible to dawdle. You arrived at the apartment, changed into your actual clothes, and got back into Derek's car in a flurry. From the late afternoon until evening, you spoke with Mr. Suarez. He was indeed eager to hear all you had to say about the get-together. It was wholly more interesting to get the highlights than attend himself, at least in his view of things. He may appreciate those gatherings more than Mr. Holden, but he could not deny you had made it sound more eventful than he'd known them to truly be. The tidbit that amused him most was the business card exchange. Mr. Suarez beamed proudly at how clever and industrious you and Derek were. He knew he could trust his son and his partner with such a responsibility. That made Derek light up. But eventually, even that had come to an end. Goodbyes were given, promises for tomorrow were shared, and you left. The sun had long since set by the time you returned to the house for a second time. What little remained of the night was passed in peaceful relaxation around the apartment before collapsing into bed. Nice! Alright, what was the last thing that happened? Oh no, are we almost at the end again? Oh no! Your life with Derek was very nearly only a memory. Well, that wasn't entirely true. You and Derek were in a relationship. You'd have a life together even if you were physically apart. But again, that kind of sentiment didn't make the being apart bit something you were looking forward to. Your emotions battled back and forth. There was a dampening cloud for every ray of sun. With a final push to swing your spirits upwards, you told yourself that long distance with Derek Suarez would be plenty of fun in its own way. He could make anything great. A cheery holler from the hall shook you out of your own head before you could get entirely lost in it.
So
All right. Hey, you're back. Come here. You ripped your feet from where they'd taken root and flung your arms around the delicate shoulders of your only big sister. She held you back and flipped her bright orange ponytail over her shoulder like she was donning a scarf of the finest silk. Got you! Yep, she had, and you couldn't have been happier.
I tried.
This is
No
amazing.
worries.
I think I did eat, right? And now we're gonna pass on free food. I did tease you last time. Hey Nika, are you texting someone?
Huh? Oh, no, it's nothing.
Nicholas tucked his device closer to him. He wanted to ask what he was doing that was so important, but he definitely wouldn't tell you. Mrs. Suarez gave the teen one final pat and left it there. She was content that he at least wasn't going hungry.
Please don't worry.
Don't leave me. Your truly pitiful plea didn't go unheard.
Oh.
Molly.
Derek's face turned just enough to peek at you. A tiny smile pulled at the corners of his mouth. I'm so alone.
Rude.
I am right here. That doesn't count.
Fine. I can't abandon you.
He lifted his head high and rolled his shoulders in preparation. Then he began the long journey from the kitchen to the living room. Mr. Suarez and his junior gave a round of applause as the eldest son left the sponge behind. Right, last time we were helping him do the dishes. I'm like, wait, come back. He gave up dishes to be with me. That's great. Your gaze drifted across the room of relaxed faces. You knew them all well, your family. It was the perfect moment to let Liz in on just how strong the relation between you and another person had become. Right! She wasn't here for the announcement this time. You had plenty of vigor, but still paused at the threshold. It struck you that until a couple hours ago, you were certain you'd have to talk to Liz about Derek over the phone whenever she was free. But thanks to your new boyfriend, you could do it in person. He'd done it all before you were even together. He cared about you no matter what. You never wanted to take that for granted, and you were gladly going to return the favor of Liz's surprise with a reveal of your own. Leaning forward, you made direct eye contact with Derek. His brows rose. You'd gotten his attention. Keeping it subtle, you tilted your head towards your sister. Derek's face scrunched, trying to decipher the gesture. You kept nudging your chin her way, your glance darting from him to Liz. Finally, it hit him. Derek's features brightened and he threw out a thumbs up. What?
Oops.
So much for subtlety, but you needed to get her attention, so that could be rolled with. We're no longer a pair of single siblings. You fluttered your hands, encouraging him to talk. Oh, Lizzie, I've got some news for you. Me and Derek got together. Derek moved his hand across the space to place it on your shoulder. It was steady. Really now? There was bemusement to her tone. It wasn't a shriek of shock, more of a space filler as she processed new, though digestible information. That was swiftly replaced by a bold as brass smirk, as to be expected from your big sister. Props to you, Suarez, coming up from behind. I thought you'd lost your painfully long moment when you never said anything about crushing on Molly for several years and then moved away. Her jab hit the mark, making Derek shudder one eye. His characteristic grin survived the strike.
I know.
I fumbled it more than once. I can admit that. Molly asked me out.
Liz grew older in an instant, nodding with the knowing solemnness of an ancient sage. Ah, it all makes sense. She couldn't completely remove the wryness that was natural to her face, but when she looked at you again, her eyes were soft. I'm happy for you, both of you. I cannot possibly imagine how romancing Mr. Let me do that for you over here could blow up in your face. Are you proud of me for securing such a strong player for Team Wave Rider? I'm so glad I got to tell you. I am too. However, clearly the Suarez family got to know this before me. Who else have you told?
Your moms and Mr. Holden, and now you.
That will have to do. When you get engaged, be sure to call me.
Leave it to me.
Can do.
Oh, already moving to engagement. Lovely. I knew this relationship was wise. Your heart was completely full. You got to tell your moms, your old neighbor, and your sister, and they all supported you just as Derek's family did. It was settled. Life was great. Except for the fact that you weren't able to come up with anything to say. You couldn't keep repeating how happy you were, but didn't know how to move on. Luckily, someone else had an idea. So,
See you.
how about we go to the pool?
Anyway,
I don't mind.
Hey.
Hey. I'll sit on the edge of Liz's chair this time. It'd make it easier to talk if you didn't have to shout across one person to another, and you had no scruples about making Liz share. You bent right down and positioned yourself on the already occupied spot, nearly squishing her arm in the process. But that was an entirely normal little sibling stunt. She didn't bat an eye. Of course she wouldn't. Your boyfriend is in the other direction. Maybe we'll try to be serious this time. I figured Nicholas would prefer some time alone with Derek. You really are a sweet soul. Welcome to the Considerate Club, population 3. Thanks.
Yeah.
Liz sent some of that energy your way and slipped her arms behind her head. I am not surprised you had Mr. Holden attend. Vacations, graduations, the blossoming of a relationship after a 10-year slow burn. And it's not even my longest slow burn. There's few important moments he hasn't been there for ever since he moved in. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I hope he'll be there for all the major moments of my life. Beautiful. If he was here, you would have made him cry with that line. But as I was saying, nothing about the event was unexpected. Though it's possible my standards are too high. I need to accept that nothing will ever top the first time. How can you beat a couple of 13-year-olds skipping town to have a Father's Day party with one of their sisters and no dads in sight? Liz freed her hands in order to spread them out in a wide shrug. One arm bumped into you. That was an occupational hazard of being a cheeky little sister. Oh well! Father's Day parties are predictable? You should look in a mirror. I knew you'd be joking about that forever, and you still are. Maybe you are predictable too, because she squinted at you coolly with a retort already on her lips. It's my responsibility as the oldest to carry on the family history, especially the embarrassing pieces. Oh, I know you have to. The more something means to you, the more sarcastic you have to be about it. That one got her to pout. Sheesh. Liz's normally resolute attention span began to waver. It was because Jorge's had first. She had been distracted by him, and his disturbance was his brother's. Derek and Nicholas remained on their own. The men on the water's edge were in their own little world. Okay, are they... We're back again. Don't worry, sister. I will be bad cop. No matter how good Nova sounds, I must make sure Jorge is defended. Godspeed, Molly.
I thank you.
I will protect Jorge. Or rather, you and Liz kept getting Jorge to dish on his life in college with Nova and other friendly and not so friendly acquaintances he'd made. But eventually...
what's up?
Yay. What was the last thing that was said here? Oh, you shouldn't have brought Liz. I don't know, Derek. Impulsiveness seems to run in the family. Do I have to remind you of that time you jumped into that old pool while fully dressed? The whole group laughed. Liz hadn't been there, but a fact like that couldn't be kept under wraps. His brothers, parents, friends, and random acquaintances were all aware of the night Derek took a night swim in a sports jersey and jeans.
Exactly. I'm definitely not the only Suarez with a mischievous streak, bro.
Come on.
Hey, Nico's worse than both of us combined. Guilty as charged.
What?
Don't be a boring. Did I do this last time? I don't remember. I still want to go, though. Come on, it's barely a crime. Don't be a Boric. Okay,
Nice
we did
work.
do that. Yeah, I want to do this one still. You brothers have it all. Look at them, all blushing together. So cute. What happened? Oh, okay. Romantic advice, got you. He was nearly as flustered as Nicholas, but was at least able to laugh at himself.
Oh, man.
I'm not sure that romantic history makes me an expert, bro. I always choked when I tried asking Molly out for real.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
No.
Alright, psychic time! I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this since I first went through this scene. I want to know about all the boys from XOXO Droplets. You couldn't blame her. A random psychic the little brother of your boyfriend happened to call was familiar with your childhood playmate. Wonder why it stopped there. Anyway. Save! Boop! Okay, so we stayed out of this conversation, I think, right? Or did we ask about Shiloh? No, we didn't. Okay. Really? What can you tell us about Shiloh? Kayla didn't bother asking who you were. Your question got an instant reaction.
Nothing. Not anymore. That's one guy I can't say anything about.
Oh, perhaps I'm psychic because I called that.
Excuse me, old lady. He is a mystery beyond even my powers. That's not my fault.
And how do you know I'm old?
I can tell.
No more explanations needed, clearly. Liz sighed and quietly reprimanded herself. She mumbled under her breath about how the psychic was obviously a kid and she couldn't be rude.
But anyway, the only good thing about Shiloh is that he's friends with Bae.
Facts. Who is that?
What? Only the smartest and most beautiful man in the world?
Fact.
If you knew Shiloh, how come you don't know the guy who was considerate enough to be his friend and roommate at the boarding school?
Because Shiloh never mentioned this friend before. The professional psychic scoffed openly at this piece of info she had been unaware of.
I predict that Shiloh never brought him up because maybe you would have wanted to meet him, and then all of you would end up liking Bae more.
Fact.
And my prediction is also that Bae Pune is receiving a great education, and is still handsome, and still nice, and is way better than Shiloh.
Yes! Yes! Yes to all of that. Wonderful. Kayla chirped again in her normal girlish tone, satisfied with a job well done.
There you are, a whole reading specially for you.
So you're following him online, right?
No!
Something about that particular shout got through to Nicholas. He blinked out of the stun lock he'd been stuck in for an entire conversation and sucked up a fast and full breath. Alright, are we back? Okay, now we're back. Yay, we learned about Bae! He's still handsome and successful and everything wonderful. Hey, do you know Jeremy? Kayla didn't bother asking who you were. Your question got an instant reaction.
Jeremy who?
Jeremy Marion King. He has green hair and orangey eyes and went to school with Shiloh.
Aha! I know the man of who you speak. Jeremy is weird, but sort of funny, and his eye and hair color combo is super rare. I've never seen anybody else with it except on TV, though I know someone with even more special colors. But anyway,
I wonder who that is she's referring to. Her voice dipped lower, and every word was said slowly with emphasized enunciation. It was valuable info, priced at around $10, and needed to be clear.
my prediction is that he's attending a business college in another state. He's avoiding his parents, but they are waiting for him to graduate so they can convince him to come back. His friend Pran is keeping them company.
Oh, Pran. Does it count as a prediction if you talk about their current life?
Yes.
Wonderful. Alright. I wonder, maybe you could tell us about a Pran? He's a friend of a friend. Mm-hmm. We've never met. A guy called Jeremy mentioned him, and...
Cease your chatter, I know the man you speak of. There's only ever been one Jeremy and Pran around. Jeremy King and Pran Taylor, best friends forever. We live in the same place, and it took a whole year from the first time I saw him for Pran to say anything, and it was just a few words. He's difficult. But anyway.
Her voice dipped lower, and every word was said slowly.
My prediction is that he's pursuing a tattoo internship and keeping Mr. and Mrs. King company while Jeremy is away. He's like their second child. And talking to him isn't as hard as it used to be.
Yay! Ah, Pran. I love that. It's honestly pretty nice to know what's going on.
You're welcome.
Alright. Oh gosh, is Nate next? Yeah, Nate, then Everett. Alright. Wait, Liz, what about that guy who yelled at Shiloh and us? Shiloh told us he went to the same school. Huh? Yes, that rude man. I'll never forget it. His name was Nate, I'm sure of it. But I don't know anything else about him.
That's okay. I'm powerful enough to know. It's Nate Lawson. You're right. He's a big jerk. Or, wait, no, Bay doesn't think that anymore, I'm pretty sure.
Her opinion exists to match Bay's. Wait, so Bay and Nate, like, stop viewing each other as jerks? Wait. Kayla, give me the tea. Who? And what?
Nate was mean to someone I love, but he's so considerate, all has been forgiven. I guess I forgive him too. But anyway, my prediction is that he is attending law school and therapy. He still yells at people, but not as much or as loudly.
Good. I'm glad Nate went and got some therapy. Nate Lawson going to law school and therapy. Well, good for him. That makes 3 people who have let it go. A wry smile played about Liz's face. She meant it. After 5 years of bitterness, she only needed 2 sentences of secondhand explanation to forgive and forget. Can I get a refund?
No.
Oh, law school and therapy. Wonderful. I'm happy for him. Alright. Do you know anything about a guy Shiloh didn't like? Jeremy hated him too. Yes, please tell me about Everett.
Shiloh Fields and Jeremy King, right?
Yeah. The 2 of them kept talking about this terrible guy. I've always been curious about it. I think his name was... Everett?
I know the man of who you speak, Everett Gray. Jeremy hated him so much. Shiloh didn't like him, but he probably didn't matter enough for Shiloh to really hate Everett. I didn't like Everett either. He was super annoying, but in school he was cool. How does that work? It's a mystery even to me. But anyway, my prediction is that he's somewhere out on the seven seas. His personality isn't that different, but he's somehow not as bad.
Well, I'm glad. I'm trying to think, like, I guess they all really didn't change all that much. I think Bay's living his best life out of everybody, though. Thank you for your wisdom, Kayla.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy to have heard about the entire Jerk Squad. Yay!
It's not
That's
Fine.
great.
No.
Alright, I want to know how this is going to go, because Nico's been a little quiet since we announced our relationship as well. So I'm like, is this going to change? And there is something different here.
I'd say the only point you let your feelings go ahead of ours was when you first heard about Derek and Molly dating.
Briefly, Nicolas's focus was pulled away from Jorge. He couldn't stop himself from glancing guiltily in your direction. At that, a knowing smile ghosted over Jorge's cheeks. He'd been as aware of what happened as both you and Derek, and Nico himself. There was little Jorge missed with his quiet, attentive ways. Proper stoicism returned before he continued.
But even that was pretty minor.
No.
I'm sorry for holding you back, or I didn't actually stop you from growing up, which is good. I'm sorry for raining on your parade when you did go for what you wanted. That was totally ungrateful after how much you've given up for me already.
Is he talking to Derek or... Whoops. Is he talking to Derek or to Jorge? Yeah. He's talking to Derek. I wondered.
You did the best you could. Better than I would have if I had to be the responsible one. Can you imagine what a disaster that would have been? We wouldn't have survived this long.
Thanks.
Wow. Love you, sis. And I you, fellow sis.
Right.
You know what? I want to do all of these options. I think I picked Derek for obvious reasons last time, but I kind of want to do them all, just to see what this is. All three of the Suarezes are my favorite. The full collection of good boys beamed proudly. They are very good boys. Glancing between the faces of each, noting the individuality and familiarity in their features, you thought getting to spend the trip with those brothers was something you'd always be thankful for. Indeed. Derek is my favorite.
Really?
Of course.
Yeah, another smart call. Derek is the best. Not even joking when I say that is the answer that makes the most sense.
Jorge is my favorite too. He looks so scandalized.
Molly? Yeah, woo! Jorge's cleaning up this competition.
Yeah.
A well-deserved victory.
I love a boyfriend who's not jealous of his brother. That's great. He's just like, yeah, I get it, bro. Nicolas is my favorite. I love how chill Nicolas doesn't freak out like the other two boys. He's like, oh, well, thanks, I guess.
For real? Wow. Don't sound so surprised. It's genuinely impossible not to adore you.
I swear.
Seriously. Sometimes I think you're too powerful.
I could never pick only one.
Yeah you can. You're dating one, remember? If that's not picking, what is?
Oh, that's true. I did pick Derek as the one for me.
Aww.
That's so cute! I like that one a lot. I wonder what that option was like
Aww.
when I wasn't dating him. They were all wonderful. They were. But there can be only one. That's great.
Man.
I kind of wanted to, so I'm gonna
Nice.
So
keep doing
true.
that. Darn, we've been found out.
Fine.
What?
Again.
Sorry.
What's happening here now? Oh, because I'm leaving. Bit worried.
It's not fair.
Alright, Nico. What do you got to say to me now?
Jorge was right. He and Derek are somehow always right. They got all the being correct genes and none were left for me. But, forget that. I'm not gonna throw a tantrum.
There was a comment you could have made, but the words on your tongue vanished. The meekly earnest way Nicholas carried himself got you to hesitate. Yeah, I still remember. That night was one of your fondest summer memories, though you didn't have a clue what Nicholas had to tell you about that party now.
Basically, he really likes you.
The moment of levity didn't last. His brow pinched and he stared you down in a long pause. Nico wanted to address your relationship with his brother. Oh boy, here we go. It was the only thing that got him so serious. Your nerves had goosebumps breaking out all over your skin. Just when you thought you'd crack from the suspense, Nicholas smirked and tossed his arms out to the wind.
Well, Molly, at the end of the day, I'm gonna support Derek all the way. I bet you knew that, but to make sure, don't go dumping him for my sake.
His honest and mature answer was such a relief it nearly knocked you off your feet. Nicholas shrugged and continued his thought.
Seriously, it's a good thing. And you adults have your own problems to deal with. You don't need me adding to it.
Thank you.
So, congratulations. Thanks for hearing me out.
Good! Oh my goodness, I'm like, I want to hug you so much. I'm so glad this is an option. Sniffling, you wiped your face on your shoulder and then dove forward. You could hear the air being crushed from his lungs moments before he started laughing. Seriously, thank you. He hugged you back with one arm and carefully patted between your shoulder blades with the other. You sighed contently.
Thank you for putting that dumb smile on Derek's face.
Derek ruffled a hand through his hair in a manner much the same as Derek did. There was no surprise there. It also wasn't much of a shock that you and your family of sorts managed to clear the air between you. There was more than a mutual affection for Derek. You cared for each other, too. Yay!
Let's race.
Let's race!
You know it.
Yeah.
Leave it to me.
Oh yeah, by the way, Nico says he supports us.
Really?
Is that what you two were talking about before?
Yep. I can't say, but you deserve to know that at least. He's genuinely happy for his big brother. Derek's mouth tightened into a thin line as he got choked up with emotion. Aww. He wiped at his face with one hand while the other remained on the wheel.
Thanks for telling me.
He looked straight ahead with big sparkling eyes.
And I know he really means it, because he told you instead of me. It's great that he never wants me to be upset, but it's even better that he cared enough to do right with other people too.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yay.
I gotcha.
No, how can I help? You didn't move an inch. Amused, Derek's gaze moved between you and the console.
You can plug the controllers in, but you don't need to.
I know I don't need to. I still wanna.
I swear.
Okay, you're already winning and we haven't started. I'll get it hooked up to the TV and you're on controller duty.
Eagerly, you nodded and got to work. Alright.
So?
Pajama time. You know what? You pick this time.
Really?
Are you sure?
He passed you the game and you carefully read the back of the case. There wasn't a particular mode that jumped out at you. You're the one who's been wanting to play this. I'm happy to be here and experience it with you.
Alright, thanks. Let's team up.
Oh yeah, we'll blow through it with our teamwork.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Alright. Meow. The motion tilted him slightly on the cushion. Your dramatic arrival sent him into a fit of laughter. Derek's cheeks were flushed as he wiped a tear from the corner of his eye.
Hi, Molly.
Hey! And on that note, your digital adventure began. Hours rapidly went by from there. You weren't exactly a credit to the team. Ooh. We gotta do a random dice roll for this. A 1 in 3. Hold on. This is very important. I'm leaving it up to chance. Eh. Come on. Big numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And... okay. Just in the middle. Getting by just fine. Sometimes you got stuck, but there wasn't anything you two couldn't eventually solve. You had to rely on each other. Derek was no expert himself. Luckily, your abilities complemented his faults and vice versa. Your throat was sore from the highs of making each other laugh and from the lows of shouting out of frustration at the TV. The game was still in full swing when suddenly Derek spoke up, not for further commentary on your digital moves, but for real-life considerations. Snacks.
I can't keep putting my stomach off. Could you hold down the fort while I'm gone?
Before you could even answer, Derek was already out of his seat and dashing towards the kitchen. Can do!
It's no problem.
I can bring something for you, too.
You mess up the progress you made in the game. Can I have the snack I picked out earlier at the store? Please?
You've got it.
Ooh. The morning after. You and him were very nearly nose to nose, limbs tucked around one another in a cuddly embrace. Aww.
Morning.
Good morning. He sounded awfully cheery. There was far more life in it than anyone who had just been unconscious moments before would have. He had already been awake, you'd bet. Nerves set to max. Content. It's quite thrilling. A jolt of energy went through you, pushing you completely out of the realm of sleep. You were in Derek's arms! You'd been snuggled together for hours. Derek tilted his head in a silent question, but you shook your head and smiled rather than tried to explain. He grinned, delighted at your joy. Derek let out a low chuckle, his chest rumbling.
Sorry.
Sorry about the less than ideal location. I didn't want to risk waking you up by moving you to a bed.
What? This is the best morning I've ever had. We should have done it sooner.
Aww.
Honestly, yeah.
Derek smoothly pulled his arms around you tighter, embracing you deliberately. It was totally a move. In the back of your brain, you were amazed this was actually happening. Sometimes it felt as if you and Derek were destined to be apart. The way he held you with no plans of stopping eased those worries for good. Derek was incredibly warm, in personality and as a pillow, and in that position you caught a similarly warming fragrance that clung to his skin. He was not one for intentionally perfuming himself, but the gentle, nutty scent about him had you guessing that Derek used shea butter lotion. Uh-huh.
You know, having a sleepover in the living room as grown-ups definitely has one perk over doing it as kids.
Said perk was interrupted by the sound of a ringing phone. Derek's eyes widened in an instant and he shifted to reach his phone on the coffee table. He checked the caller ID and a disbelieving smirk crossed his face. His voice was a whisper.
Are you serious?
No way.
You couldn't guess whose mere call would get that reaction.
Hey.
Hey. Nico, you're calling so early.
Molly, you're actually the one I wanted to talk to. I just called Derek so I wouldn't bother you if you were still sleeping.
Uh-huh.
Fine.
Bye.
It's no problem.
He nuzzled his cheek into yours. You could feel his breath tickle your skin. Adorable. Okay, we're gonna go spicy and then sweet. Oh? Should I join you? His brows lifted and his face darkened, clearly intrigued.
I'm not sure that means what I'm thinking it means.
No, I think we're on the same page.
Sorry.
There's not enough room.
His tone was disappointed, if not frustrated, that his tiny city apartment bathroom wasn't meant for two. Okay, I'll use the other one. You can at least take with you the memory of Derek's charming face. Derek lifted you up with him as he shifted into a sitting position. He could get out from under another person with ease. The gym had done him well. He smooched your cheek, still keeping you elevated, before gently putting you back on the cushion with one more tight squeeze. The whole experience made you giddy.
Talk to you later.
Giddy? Of course. No, we should stay here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. His brows lifted, intrigued. You'd made a tempting proposition.
Well, like I said, there's no reason to rush.
You appreciated how agreeable Derek could be. You happily made yourself comfortable once more and snuggled on the couch. While you were far too awake now to drift off, it did give you the chance to chat more. You continued last night's discussion, and it was lovely. Despite how cozy being in each other's arms was, eventually it was time to get ready for the day. Nice.
Talk to you later.
See you. Alright. Well, that's another hour gone by, and we still have, like, the fair to go to. I want to know what's gonna happen on the Ferris wheel, and how we're gonna, like, end with having everybody over for dinner and stuff, so I guess I'm gonna stop here again, guys, and we'll continue our AU moments next time. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. I certainly did. Until next time, I will see you later.